Welcome everyone to Fantasy HQ. This is Red, this is Mitch, I am Alex, and we are the NRL Fantasy Gurus.
I just made it through.
And it looks like Red already has a fit of the giggles today, which is a lot better than you were feeling yesterday when you had Willie Army in your team. My condolences to both of you. Now, going with a bit of a different feeling of today's. Well, I asked earlier for some Instagram questions. Got a lot coming through today. Thank you for sending those in. And we'll hit those up at the end of the episode. But first, maybe a bit of a... We'll change it up a bit. We haven't really done this. Like a top fives thing. Wall Street Incorporated. Something like that. We'll figure it out as we go.
This is why you try to come to the planning meetings before we do this, so we're not blindsided every week.
Oh, I like blindsiding you. It gives us an organic feel.
Now, you're going to say orgasmic then. I was like so ready for that.
It's a very small table. Don't know if we want that. Now,
I'm still going to touch that.
So we're going to start off with the top 5 buyers of the week, the most exciting thing of every week when you can bring in some new players. Now, we'll do a countdown here. And we actually collaborated for once. We helped each other. We came together. We put our minds together, came up with some top 5 buy-ins. Some special mentions. Can someone say his name? Because I tried earlier and I just couldn't. Red, you're the best of this.
Tyrell Fuimaono.
Fuimaono. Great.
Pressure was on there and I had to nail it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what he does this week, but we got Sims out, a suspected wrist injury, 4 to 6 weeks. So he's one to look out for. We won't mention him in this list, but it's definitely someone to keep an eye on. And if you don't have him already, just stop playing fantasy. Harry Grant, with the bench they have now, looks like an 80-minute player. Just obvious. You got to have him.
But if you don't have him, it's probably not too late to go out and get him.
Just get him.
And thanks for watching.
What did he make last week? Like 106,000?
Something ridiculous.
He's still in the
Juicy.
low 400s though, so he's still
It's not
achievable cash cow. It's not too late.
But he's looking like an absolute keeper and a gun for the rest of the year. Okay, so we'll start off with number 5. He was a sell at the start of the year. He started off terribly. Latrell Mitchell. What do we think? He's finally hit a big
Seemed
score.
pretty of bowling shoes in his performance.
But he's picked it back up again. 10 tackle busts last week. Got back to some good scoring. And this week, we're finally good centre options back.
Yeah, well, for the first time in a while, it actually feels like we're spoilt with a few options we can go there. And obviously we don't know what's happening with Jerry. He's finding out his BCM today, so potentially he could be another option in a few weeks or a week or whatever. But yeah, it bounced back. He looked like a bit of a Latrell of old. And if he can keep that up or some kind of resemblance of what he did last week each week, he's a great option at centre.
What's your thoughts?
Break even's still low.
It's relatively low.
It's one of the, 27. It's one of those things you kind of got to jump on him now, and I'm not 100% sold. If he could have done those performances every week, I think he would have. You don't just choose to not do good things. I don't know. I wanted Latrell if he scored bad again, but at his price, I just don't think 500 is good enough. Was he 496?
Well, we will get to him later.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's around that, but we will get to them later. There's some other great centre options. So
Yeah, I think-
that's why we put him at 5. Good option, good buy-in, and I don't think you'll be sorry about it, but as you'll find out later, maybe some much better options at that centre position. Now, Mitch, you can talk about this guy. You brought him in last week. At number 4, we got Pakes from the Broncos.
Yeah, a bit of a risk. I personally love cash cow hookers. We know Jake Turpin's looking like he's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. Obviously, the Broncos at the moment seem a bit like a basket case. But he's got a -4 break even. He's still 282,000. He got 45 last week in a very, very badly beaten team. He made 50 tackles. He only missed 2.
That's solid.
So
Also didn't gain a lot of meters, I must say. He didn't have the confidence to
that's
take
what
it
they
himself.
talked about in a lot of the pre-game was he's a bit explosive like Damien Cook. But to play like Damien Cook, you've got to be on the front foot, and at no point were the Broncos last week on the front foot. So I think, look, if he does hold that position until Turpin comes back, he will make you some money. He's a good option as a cash cow, especially if he keeps putting up numbers like 45 each week. I think it's a good option.
At the half position.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, DPP, so he can go hook half.
And at that price, bring him down, and you've got at least a minimum of 4 weeks, I think, they say, for Turpin. So definitely enough time to make some money before we ship him out.
Yes.
I think one of the best things that we looked at about him was the Roosters put on 10 tries. Only one of those was while he was not on the field. So that's a lot of minutes lost. Even if you average 1 minute per try lost, that's a lot of minutes lost just for not being able to make his base stat tackles in the middle of the field. So I would expect probably a better score this week.
Here, Red, you brought this guy in last week. How did he do for you?
Were you talking about K-Max? No,
Yeah.
C-Max. C-Max! Cameron McInnes!
Beast.
Oh, we all spoke about him, how we wanted him at the start of the year, couldn't get him because he was injured. Comes back and makes everybody look silly. This guy, average of 86 in 2 weeks. That's fantastic.
Tell him about the missed tackles. Tell him about the missed
Do you
tackles.
want me to tell him? Alright, let me tell you about the made tackles first. 129 tackles in 2 weeks. He missed his first one last week.
Oh,
He made 75 in week 1, didn't miss a single one. And he made it in the 50-something last week and he only missed one. And then he went to lock and had a few tackle busts because, a bit more time to run around.
Why not?
He's playing 80 minutes, even with Isaac Luke on the bench, playing 80 minutes because he shifts to lock instead of hooker, which again just flows with those base stats. Just allows him just to cool down a little bit, do some tackling, and then get back into the flow of the game. He's 952,000. That's pricey. But can you really look past him?
He's only in 2% of teams. I think that's
He's-
shocking.
yeah.
I think you stretch for him.
Personally, I don't think it's shocking he's only in 2% teams because he wasn't there at the start of the year. And there's not a lot of people with that kind of money laying around. I feel like a lot of people that have him would have been people that moved Tamalolo straight out last week for a straight swap. And he was my captain for most of last year, even though I did have Haas, because he was, putting up numbers like that week in, week out. So if you do have the money and you can swing it, I'm trying to do it this week myself. I'm trying to do a bit of a juggling act to get him in there because he's 80 points week in, week out. If you can put that up, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, you need to do it this week.
That's number 3, and that is a pure gun right there. But number 2, we got someone in mid-range, as we talked about before, centre, and someone we're all going to hate to bring up because let's just say we've had some bad experiences, but Capewell from Panthers. Now, the last 2 weeks, he's had absolutely amazing performances. He scored some big points, and I think last week I avoided it, brought in Best instead. That worked out all right. But Capewell, I think he's shown both 80-minute performances. You need to very much consider bringing him into your team.
He's looking quite. I think that whole forward pack at the moment at Penrith's looking quite strong.
Fisher Harris, amazing.
Fisher Harris, Yo, they're all just getting through the base stats, the grunt work. And they've all got a little bit of offensive ability about them. So, he's a great option. Feels in that troubled centre position.
I think if I had to pick between Latrell and him, I'm 100% going Capewell at the moment. With all the tackles he's making. He's still missing a few, which is why we originally didn't like him in the first place.
But
God, he's making a lot.
Last year, I think there's a difference between missing 2 to missing 12. But
And not once, but twice. Look, I have been one of the biggest haters of Capewell because of missed tackles, and I think in fantasy, people who miss tackles are just a detriment to your team no matter what. But even if you miss 12 tackles, he still would have got 50 points. So, yeah, look, I'm probably going to bring him in this week. I have to swallow my pride, which is a tough thing for me to do.
Yeah.
I don't think I've done it ever before in my life. But yeah, Capewell.
For the number 1 buy of the week, I think this is a very obvious. I briefly just mentioned him before, Bradman Best. Now, some of you might say, but he's got 2 tries every week.
And he got
and he got
2
2 tries this last week. That's the only reason he's put up big numbers. Yes, but you got to look at it from a money perspective that he is the number 1 pick. He makes 30 points next week, which is very reasonable. You'll make another $72,000. Now, it's everyone else is bringing him in. You do not want to get left behind here by not.
You don't want to get Tui FOMO, AONO.
I couldn't even hold
No,
that.
no, I tried.
lucky we have editing. We'll cut that right out. No, actually, leave it in.
He's not cutting that out. I'm stuck with that for the rest of
Only
my
if
life.
I did it, I did it. Yeah. But yes, Bradman Best, definitely a great option and our number 1 buy of the week. Now, we also have sells of the week, and this is where we're going to be absolute savages because, like before, we've been burned. Now, number 5, Whiten, Jack Whiten. I think it's it's a tough one here. I think we narrowed it down. We we talked briefly about fullbacks and how hard it would be to sell RTS and Holmes and Asako at the moment. We've left them out just because the fullbacks can excel in today's game, but I think Whiten is one of those that you really could sell in here.
I just think that he's kind of lost his position, really. Like, he just hasn't had his involvement, whether that's from him adjusting to having a different halves partner or whatever it is. He hasn't been there. He just hasn't been.
Now, it's a bit hard. He didn't play 80 minutes last week, so
Yeah.
it's a bit hard to say it, but his break-even's getting higher. He got much better options in halves at the moment, I think. That's why he's number 5. I think, you could risk selling him and bring in someone better. Thoughts on Whiten, Mitch?
I'm a bit either way on him. I think he's still playing quite well, and the Raiders, to be honest, they played horribly. They didn't play up to the standard where we've become used to the last year or two. So,
I think everyone just got a bit too excited from that 90-point performance.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm either way. I don't have him, so it's not really a concern for me.
Fair few people do.
We don't care what you want. Tell me what Mitch wants.
Now,
Now you get it.
Now, I had him in my team at the start of the year, and he just declined. Jerome Hughes, you can talk about him, Red. You
You
Storm
better
fan,
believe I
you.
can. I love
Number 4.
I'm a Storm guy. But Hughes, what are you f***ing doing out there? I gotta sit next to him while watching the game. I'm trying to support the team. Oh, run the ball! Mate, you're not even doing the right thing. You're not engaging the line. You're not doing anything. You've now become fantasy irrelevant with an average of 36. 6% of people have you. You're 545k with a break even of 56. Get out.
And now
You're
you're
injured. Round 7-8. Round 7-8. There's too many rounds away. Get rid of him. Let's look at his scores. 63. Round 1. Not bad. Not
love
bad.
that. I was
All right.
waiting for
Round
that.
2. 33.
I
Round
love
3.
that.
27.
I love that too.
Round 4. 21.
6% of you get him the hell out.
I'd rather smell Alex's fart than watch you play in my team
God.
again. Give us Cooper Johns, because for God's sake, you're atrocious. Get out.
Well, let's go to someone who won't rubbish as much. Walters. Now, he's finally been left out of the 17 at number 3.
Yeah.
I saw him last week, so I wasn't too upset by this, but I think
Yeah.
for
Delighted.
a lot of people still have him.
I think, obviously, he's a sell. He's probably not gonna. If he somehow jags that 5'8" shot from Josh Reynolds, potentially could be a
Why is it
keeper.
Josh Reynolds' spot? That's another question for another time.
We don't have enough time for that. But look, he's not going to lose your points, so it's not a rush to get him out. But yes, you will have to sell him at some point.
I think that, yeah, if you have to sell him, like, there are some really good guys out there, like, we're talking about Hakes and, Kate Wells coming along.
Clark, if you want another cheaper
Clark,
option.
there's a few guys that are quite cheap at the moment. Even Katella from the Warriors, like, he had a down-ish week, but still solid score for his price. I think you can sub him out and get someone half decent for a little bit extra. And I think that's what you've got to do this week. I think now's the time to do it.
A lot of low break-evens. Burton included, who, if he was starting, would have been an absolute must and would have been in that top 5.
Which could end up starting.
Now, the guy that burned us all, not me directly because it was in my emergencies, but Willie Army, had a break-even of 4 last week. He didn't hit it. He didn't make any money. You thought for sure he'd make some money. Willie Army, that was a terrible performance. And now you're injured too. So you are a must-sell. 25% of teams ship him out. I know he's not worth a lot, so you might just say, okay, well, I'm not going to get anything for him anyway. I'll just leave him in my emergencies. That's fine too. But like we said, Hakes, Clark, you may as well make some money from these guys who are still cheaper than him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's our number 2 bring in. Does anyone want to elaborate more on him? Or you're just too burned?
Still hurting.
I might have to whip out the sensor.
I was looking out for a big score, and then
That happened.
yeah, pretty much turned the game off when he went off. So
I was staring in the barrel of 1,000 points until you decided to,
do
not
nothing.
play football.
No, just do nothing.
I don't know
still
why you
play-
took your handbag on the field with you, though. Fucking hell.
Now we'll go to our number 1 sell of the week. And last week, a lot of people messaged me on Instagram saying, "What do you think of Brayley?" I said hold. He still scored mid-30s. It wasn't too bad, but now I think the point is come where you do have to sell him. He's no longer 80 minutes. He doesn't get as involved as the other hookies in the game. I think our number 1 sell, we'll agree.
Yeah.
Brayley, he's out of my team this week. Make way for Capewell.
I wish he actually gave me some time to prepare for this because he's very underwhelming, dreadful, poor, unacceptable, atrocious. Some words that come to mind when I think about Blake Brayley.
Reprehensible would be my pick.
Wow.
Would be.
It's like you stole them right from a thesaurus before the show.
Oh, I probably would have if I had some time to prepare. Look, he's 479,000. He still has a lowish break even of 26, but he's not playing 80 minutes, so barring him scoring a try, I don't think he's going to blow that break even out of the water. So he's only going to make a small amount of money. With these cheap cash cows in there now who do have the low break evens, now's the time to get him out, cash in, bring one of them in, and spend the money elsewhere on some of these other guys we've talked about as bring-ins.
Yeah,
Couldn't
definitely.
agree more.
Now, there are top 5 buys, top 5 sells. We've got a few hold the phones and pump the brakes. Just to add a few more names in. We'll brush through these a lot quicker than we just did the buys and sells. Drinkwater, we have him as a hold, we think. He got his lowest score of the round, 28.
I think hold. I think he actually looked really good in the first 2 rounds with Michael Morgan. I don't think he's playing as well with Clifford. And they're also down a few troops. It's probably not helping him. It's easy to play in the back of someone like Jason Tamalolo.
Definitely.
So
He got robbed of a try assist too, which certainly didn't help his score. Red,
Nah.
hold him.
I think hold. He's involved, and that's what you want. There's effort there. There's the potential to still get big scores. So I think hold.
as well as that, he's DPP.
Yeah.
So
Now, we got one of the plays of the week last week, Collins. Lindsay Collins with the Roosters absolutely killed it off the bench, played some big minutes. But we're saying pump the brakes. He's got a minus 18 break even, which is just amazing. But you got him off the bench. He got a try last week, definitely elevated his score. He got 7 tackle busts, which the first 2 weeks you look at, he only got 1 in each. So definitely an elevated score. I think definitely a one-off, probably like the Flegler performance you saw a couple of weeks ago as well. So I'd compare it to that. So I'm thinking pump the brakes on him. You know, you will make a little bit of money, but not worth the trade in our opinion. Another one, Corey Oates. Now, looking amazing. Now, he's finally in the second row. You can play a second row forward in the wings.
what? That's crazy.
That's like back
Don't
when Jack
touch him.
Rahinva was a hooker in the wings.
Do not touch him.
Pump the brakes, we're saying. Now,
No,
They've
it's
got a
not,
10-foot pole.
it's not
Use it
pump
here.
the brakes. It's just don't go there.
new segment.
Just don't go there.
But we say don't go there. He's not going to hold that spot for long, we don't think. You got Glenn coming back, Pangai Jr.
And Fafita.
Like, it's not going to hold that
It's
spot.
3 world-class back rowers there to come back into a team.
He might look good at 365k, a winger in the second row, but definitely not worth the ring. He'll end up on that wing in no time again.
Probably a week, 2 weeks.
Another pump the brakes, McCulloch. What do you think of McCulloch?
He's tough. We don't fully know how Newcastle's going to use him. Obviously, Ponga went down after HIA, but they are carrying Texway on the bench.
Sexy Texy.
Sexy Texy. So we're not sure.
Was the 80 minutes a regular thing? You know,
Yeah.
If Ponga doesn't go out, if Mann doesn't go out, does he lose a few minutes there? So, and Watson coming back as well.
Yeah, that's the other point. Watto's coming back real soon, and well, not real soon, a couple of weeks, but I can't imagine they're going to leave him out of the squad, especially with the way the game is right now. He's going to have that speed. McCulloch's your workhorse, but Connor Watson's going to be that speed guy through the middle of the ruck, that Damien Cook style, and he'll probably lose his minutes whenever Watson just is free to play.
Like, don't get us wrong, 61 tackles, amazing performance, and he
Juicy.
scored really well,
Juicy.
69 points, lowest break even, but at 600, I think he's just
I-
too much. Now, we got one more hold the phone, the Pappenschmackel, Pappenhausen. This is a tough one. He got 32 with a try, but I personally am saying hold. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
you know, before he's got his worst score of the year with a try. He can get better scores. You know, he's doing pretty much similar to your players like Valentine Holmes, but he takes a lot of runs. He wants to get involved. He wants his hands on the ball. I think he's capable of those big scores.
Yeah, well,
We showed it last year.
yeah, it was amazing last year. And maybe teams are now planning a bit better for him, for a bit more tape. Maybe the Storm are struggling a bit with the new style of game. But you'd think around tired forwards in and around the ruck, that's where he really dominated last year. He should. I'm going to give him another week, maybe 2 weeks, see what he does personally. But well, that's me.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm giving him 1 or 2 weeks.
I think the 2 Melbourne games on this side of the season have been error-riddled and penalty-riddled. Those games have been very slow, very poor, so that the forwards aren't as
Happens when
tired.
Melbourne play.
right?
You guys are usually the quickest game.
So those forwards, they're not as tight as they'd normally be. There's no flow to the game. There's no way for him to sort of, find breaks because either Melbourne's dropping the ball inside the 20 or like they're giving up penalties. There's no flow to any of the games. It's very frustrating to watch. I feel like I'm a Parramatta supporter all of a sudden trying to watch a team that just can't get it to go.
It's like a drive-by.
Shots forward.
But
If it wasn't so high up the ladder,
that's where it's
probably
different.
would have hit me.
If Melbourne can get back to some decent flow and not as many errors, like I don't think we've ever had that many errors in 2 games ever. So we just need to get that. Once we get back to our style of game and figure it out, he will definitely be more involved. I think this week could be his week to be an outbreak.
So you're saying captain him?
Look, I'm not saying that.
bold
I'm saying
stretch.
I'm saying if you got Ponga or Haas or McInnes, like maybe captain one of them.
Red's got all the jokes today. Some are funny.
I'd love him to come out and get 100 points now. I'm just like, I told ya.
Am I right?
I told ya.
Am I right?
All right, so we're going to hit up our Instagram because I did get a lot of questions today. We'll brush through them quickly. Now, Ben Champion, firstly, what a name, has asked, Pakes or
Champ.
Clark? Considering Pakes was in our top 5 buys, I think it's an obvious answer here.
Yeah.
But there is some benefits to both. Obviously, both cheap. Clark, 5 break even. Pakes, -4 break even. Similar. Clark got 36 points. Pakes got 45. We only got these 1 games to go off. But I think you look at the minutes here. 65 Pakes, 49 for Clark. You got to go with the minutes.
I think you have to go for minutes, but potentially if he played quite well from what I saw of the Titans-Tigers game. If Titans can kick on a bit and he keeps playing in the middle, potentially he's got more longevity there.
He does. He got a try assist, 36 points. Where Pakes just got base stats, so that's why I'm leaning towards Pakes.
Pakes isn't going to be there as long though. Clark earned his position over Pete's and Rain.
Very impressive.
Pretty impressive, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not fantasy relevant, but there's some longevity, so give him some time to get into the game, learn the feel, the speed to it. Long term, Clark could be the guy. Pakes is a short term band-aid, but if you want a long term guy, I think Clark might be your go.
But Pakes also is a little bit cheaper. So that could swing you.
So we just sat on the fence and didn't tell you anything. Take that, Ben
Go
Champion.
Pakes.
You'll
I'll lock it in. I'll take the bold call. Take Pakes. I wish I was good at names. Benny Tukuhu has asked.
Not gonna
Thank you
try
for
that.
answering.
Tukuhu?
Adam Dewey? ? And I've scolded him before.
Hey, you have.
But, in fullback, I must admit, playing quite well.
Yeah.
7 tackle busts a game. Putting up some decent points, 43 and 61. And he's still juicy at 475k. Low
He
break
can
even.
do. He.
I'm still reserving judgment, but definitely worth a bring in if you're looking for someone to fill that wing fullback that's cheaper than your Drinkwaters, Pappenhausens, and scoring better. The option is there. So I'm not going to discount that.
I thought he looked really good in the game.
Yeah,
He's been fantastic.
I liked him at Rabbitohs when he was a half, actually.
Yeah.
So
He played real good. We went to
Yeah.
that triple header, double header.
double-headed,
He looked
triple
fantastic.
Yeah.
Eating my words. We got Connor Elwood asking most reliable, high scoring second row forwards. There's a couple of people.
high scoring.
Well, there was obviously
Most reliable
Jason
second row
Tamalolo,
forwards. Jason Tamalolo. Fisher Harris.
Fisher Harris, Tohu Harris, bit of a surprise one.
Tohu Harris has looked amazing, and I'm glad you brought him up because
Since the new rules and the restart of the season, he has looked like he was
over
like 2
200
years
metres
ago.
a game, pretty much 50 tackles a game. He has been a base stat freak, Tohu Harris.
Second rowers are looking good. Second rowers in the front row as well, looking pretty good at the moment.
So enough said there. They can't go wrong with the first 3 guys. Yo,
Yeah,
those guys.
he's been solid too, and he's still got a fair bit of money to make actually.
And we'll just finish off one more. Who we go with? Maybe. Thoughts on Angus Crichton? Jeffrey Mapu.
Don't
Mapeo.
like him, but don't like him. To be honest, like he started every game this year, but week 1 and 2, no Boyd Cordner. Week 3 and 4, no Mitch Orbison. So I think he will go back to the bench.
2 tries last week. Really elevated score. 81.
Do you really think Mitch Orbison's better than Angus Crichton?
The Roosters do.
Well, the Roosters have had Mitch Orbison and never used him to his full potential ever.
Well, he started there last year though. He was the
started,
starting guy.
and then Crichton was off
And
the
then
bench.
every time he gets moved to the centre, I feel like he should be at another club. But that's beside the point. I think Angus Crichton will keep his position. I don't think he'll lose it to Mitch Orbison.
Orbison is now on the extended bench this week, so it's something to look out for late mail. But, you know, I think there's better options at second row forward, as we mentioned before, that you take him just for job security.
As well as that, there's still a couple of good second rows to come back. We got Jazz Devunga and David Fafita to come back. So.
Yeah.
Just a God, I love that guy.
Some elite guys coming back. Thanks again for watching. Mitch, what can they do?
As always, guys, like, subscribe, comment. Alex loves the feedback and the questions, so keep them coming.
He's been answering all of them lately.
All of them.
Been on a tear.
Lucky
So
I
all
got
the bad advice you've been given.
I've got nothing else to do at work, so thanks for keeping me entertained.
Wow.
Sorry if anyone's watching from work.
Yeah. Not touching that one.
Cheers. Subscribe.